Preston Jacobs is perhaps my favourite overall creator on this platform. However, his usual output of A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones theory videos I'm not certain would qualify for the list. Though who knows, I did tell Methodology to suck my dick. Preston's theories are about my favourite things on this planet. And whether you agree with them or not, or think his theories are too wacky or too outside of the box, you have to admit that you come away from Preston's videos thinking about key elements of the series in a different, more interesting way. If somehow you're both a massive fan of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire and somehow haven't heard of or watched Preston, I envy the months-long journey ahead of you working through his backlog. But outside of fantastic and potentially fantastical theory crafting, this year Preston made a video series that was a little out of the ordinary for him. A series called Brienne, Gender and the Squishes that is really not a theory at all, but more of a traditional video essay spread across 6 parts, exploring gender thematically throughout the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, using the Brienne story as its primary lens. And it was magnificent. This video series even falls into another traditional video essay trope of being a defense video. It's a defense of the Brienne story in A Feast for Crows, perhaps the least favorite storyline from the least favorite book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. This video series could have easily been called In Defense of Brienne, because that's what the video series basically is. It's not, however, because let's be real, the squishes are what bring in the clicks these days. If the defense aspect doesn't indicate that this video should qualify for the list, I don't know what will. It's here and it's not going anywhere. Even in Preston's theory videos, more so than connecting disparate dots or recognizing patterns in the text, Preston's sharpest strength and conveniently my favorite parts of his videos have always been his thought-provoking thematic analysis of the series. In this video series, rather than it just being sprinkled in lightly throughout, as it is in his theory videos, the thematic analysis is the main focal point here. And this just might be his strongest thematic analysis yet, which has landed this series at number 5 on our beloved list. I was going to be edgy and put it at number 1 for most of the year, but decided instead to be a coward. So here we are. That's how much I love this video series. First, let's touch on Preston's incredible, unique presentational style. And by incredible and unique, I mean weird. He does funny voices for the characters sometimes, and he sings as Sansa in this series. It's great. Also off-putting to some might be his delectable intros. The Brienne one featuring dramatic music, dramatic text pop-ups, many explosions, a flying jet ski, a monster truck, and a hamburger. But to me, that's just good television. What I'm getting at here is that Preston has a subtle personality to his videos, and it might not be to everybody's taste. Depends how much you love or loathe juxtaposition, I guess. He's a rather cheeky gentleman with a dry sense of humor. I love him. His editing style outside of the more bombastic elements is simple yet dense. He flashes text and quotes from the novels on screen constantly that go unsaid, to bolster his points in ways you'll only appreciate if you take the time to pause and read them. He often has insider visual gags in the sometimes wackier images he uses to represent his points. It's not the most eloquent or extravagant editing style on the list, but it gets the job done with a quaint sense of personality. Now this is the part where I explain why I love the thematic analysis in these videos. The only problem is I've rewritten this part of the script nearly 1,000,000 times at this point. It's such a stupid place in the script for me to get stuck on, but simultaneously recapping Preston's points from the video series and explaining why I like them is proving rather difficult. And I think part of the problem is how dense these videos are and how many points are made. This series is about exploring 2 core thematic elements that are reflected in George's writing. The themes of gender and the exploration of patriarchy, and the themes of existentialism and the exploration of personal ethical codes. It's insane how much commentary there is in these books from George on both these things and how well integrated they both are, not just to the Brienne story but the entire series overall. There's gender commentary and sexism in the in-universe songs, for Christ's sake. Sometimes I can't tell how much I love these videos for compiling these thematic elements and constructing an argument summarizing them, or if I just love George for writing the books in such a fleshed out manner. I think both deserve a lot of credit in this regard. So rather than trying to somehow summarize the many points made by George and compiled by Preston in this video series, as I failed to do in previous iterations of this script, I'm simply going to tell you to go watch the videos. I think from everything I've said so far, you'll know if you're interested or not. These are potentially my favorite videos of the year. For this section, we didn't really have a preamble recommending a bunch of similar channels because there really aren't that many that you could categorize alongside Preston. But if we expand it to just being other A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones video from this year, Alt-Shift-X uploaded a couple of videos this year, and the best amongst them is The Real Tyrion Lannister. Admittedly, it's kind of a generic baity YouTube title, but the video itself was good. I talked about that channel Clever and Chic earlier, praising them for their unique way of editing their videos to appear like a fashion magazine, saying that I'd never really seen that in this space before. Well, Alt-Shift-X also has a similarly unique way of editing his videos that I don't think I've seen anywhere else on the platform either, where the video looks as if it's swimming through a collage of different curated images as we transition between the frames that show what's referenced in the voiceover. This is shown off especially when at the end of the sections of the video he zooms out and you see the panels from throughout the section all on screen at once. That was a terrible way to describe what his editing is like, but that's becoming a trend on this top 10 list. Watch the video and you'll get what I mean. That's also becoming a trend on this top 10 list. The editing is good, and while the content of the video is mostly recap, there is an interesting narrative weaved throughout the video, and his narration is rather great. Check it out. Other than that, I think it's time to move on. The preamble's a back chat to your adulation, I'm sure. For our number 4 spot, we'll be talking about old school anime analysis, the outdated way we liked it back in 2016. Best Guy Ever is a mainstay in this space, with major historical hits like the Gurren Lagann Best Anime Ever videos, among others. Nate is in an awkward place in his YouTube journey, I'd say. He's in a similar position to me, but on a larger scale, where his audience is segmented into a bunch of little factions that he can't possibly please with individual uploads, while also not uploading frequently enough to keep a large core audience consistently engaged. This is why his videos from this year don't do as well as they probably should, even though I think they're pretty consistently quality. On the anime side, since that's not all he makes, the video of his that stands out the most this year was his last video of the year, the Humanity of Cowboy Bebop video. I'd describe this video as sort of an old school opinion on Cowboy Bebop, restated in 2021 through a specifically Nate lens. Bebop discourse got a little weird in late 2021, and I'm not just talking about the discourse for the Netflix show. I saw a lot of people saying some dumb shit about Cowboy Bebop. And Nate came through talking about the resonance of the show and its power through themes and characters in a way I greatly appreciated. It was a shining light in Bebop discourse this year, I'd say. This video was placed on the list during the drafting stages of this video, but alas, I didn't end up placing it. But that's a testament to its quality, make sure you check it out. A similarly prolific creator traditionally and still in this space is One Mother's Basement. Jeff rose to prominence in the mid-2010s and was a king of anime YouTube. But then the reverse jerkwave earned him a lot of ire from some of the more hardcore sectors of the AniTube space, who snidely regarded him as overrated and artificial. I probably fell into those traps during that time period myself. Even though I, like most of those types, weren't even actually watching his videos anymore. Over the last few years, I've slowly started dipping my toe back into some of Jeff's content, mostly his One Piece videos, and have found them pretty consistently great. He's been doing this so consistently for so long that his videos and scripts have a level of polish unseen almost anywhere else in this space, which sometimes might work against him, as his videos might come off as ingenuine or too plasticky. His narration style is very energetic and smooth, the scripts flow very well, he's got a charm, a charisma, and a corniness to him that makes it enjoyable. Ultimately, because of these strengths, despite some of the ill will, I find it difficult to believe that from a writing and presentational perspective, that he could ever make a bad video. Whenever I see a lot of drama or controversy surrounding one of his videos, it's never about these things, but more so about a controversial point he made in a video. This year, the only video of his I watched was his warning do not read One Piece video, which reflects all of the positive aspects of his videos that I just talked about. I think I'll try to delve more into Mother's Basement content next year to get a better, more contemporary grasp on the ever-successful man. Lastly, before we get into the placed entry on the list, I want to highlight a smaller channel, one Jarky Bacon, who made a Wire video that's structured in a more traditional anime analysis way called Why Every Anime Fan Should Watch The Wire. It's very much a video made through the lens of a mostly anime analysis community analysis of The Wire, as Bacon shares his adoration for the show with his mostly anime analysis fanbase, pleading with them to give the show a chance. Bacon needs more views over there. He also in 2021 did edit my Goodbye Attack on Titan video, and that video should probably win an award for best editing of the year. The man's got talent, go show him some love. Finally, the placed entry in our traditional anime analysis category is B, or Trixie the Golden Witch, over on the Yig Studio channel, with Anime Alphabet. B, another traditional titan in this space, came back in 2021 with her main focus being the Anime Alphabet series, which looks at classic anime each month for a corresponding letter of the alphabet. While she also covered other anime topics on her channel this year, like the particularly good charitable look at High Guardian Spice she did, repenting for her previous sins against the show, I think Anime Alphabet is the defining creation of hers in 2021. She's covered many a series, with many more to come in a familiar old school B way through this series. My favorite of which this year being the E is for Evangelion Rebuild video. B's videos feel like the most structured, well-written, wild stream of conscience you've ever seen. They always have. Her writing is uniquely cutting, I think. In a way, it densely crams opinions and personality into every line, while also being super easy to follow and understand. It's an incredible juggling act that seems effortless from the outside looking in. There's a reason she used to talk so much shit about other people's writing. It's because she's very, very good at it. There's always something being cuntily dismissed and a snide reference to something better in her videos, referencing her overwhelming anime knowledge and constant cuntiness. It's what I originally fell in love with all those years ago, and to see it back in whatever form contemporaneously is a joy to me, even if I think I've kind of moved past certain tropes she uses to talk about and look at media through. Nonetheless, I still found everything she had to say about the rebuilds in this video, and on the other subjects she covered this year, exceptionally interesting and exciting. I'm glad she's still here, being herself, writing in a way I think only she can. Make sure you're watching Anime Alphabet each month. Video game analysis is as tried and true in the video essay and analysis video space as it can get. So let's look at this year's best in this field. A reminder again, I have not fully consumed any action button content, so they won't be featured here. See the warning at the beginning of the list. We started the anime analysis section with Best Guy Ever, so let's also start the video game analysis section with him too, as sadly he won't be placing once again. Nate had two standout video game features this year, his Kingdom Hearts videos and his Mimicule video. Nate has earned the reputation through his history of videos about Kingdom Hearts, including his fun fleshed out PCP lecture on the deep lore of Kingdom Hearts, of being the Kingdom Hearts guy. So his big videos about Kingdom Hearts 3, sometime after the game's release, was always going to be must-see TV. And as somebody who only really knows about Kingdom Hearts through Nate, I found them enjoyable. He seemed to say a lot of things. His Mimicule video was a Herculean task on his part that clearly took a lot of thinking to make, as it seems to create a whole formula for responsible hype levels towards upcoming game releases, while also making some intriguing points about video game hype culture in general. It's wild and definitely worth checking out, even if I don't really find it agreeable at all. May, or as you may know him, the dude that made that 7-hour video on Omega Ruby, came out with a big Crash Bandicoot video on the original PS1 game, and I thought it was one of the better videos of the year. It was structured in a kind of unique way, going level by level, but using each level as an opportunity to talk about a different general point about the game that tied into something in the particular level, highlighting a lot of the time some of the littler, more underappreciated details about the game. I've been watching Crash Bandicoot videos for like 10 years, and somehow he manages to say things about the game I had never heard. He also did a great job at tying everything into a historical context, and pointing out how revolutionary in some aspects the game was contemporaneously. He tied in also a lot of behind the scenes information on the game that again wasn't the generic shit you've heard a million times. It's a very comfy, very clever video. May also made a cute, more self-reflective video this year about his trepidations with Binding of Isaac that I'd also recommend. The last channel I want to talk about before we get into the placed video on the list is Novacano, a smaller channel compared to those I've mentioned so far. He only made one video in 2021, that being his The Last of Us multiplayer critique video. He always starts his videos reducing something to a bare bones definition, and I think it is massively effective every time he does it, and I always find myself going, yeah, I guess that is what a video game is. He opens this video with this type of discussion about multiplayer games, and then analyzes The Last of Us multiplayer through that lens to great effect. I think if you were going to try and do objective game analysis, what I've seen from Novacano is about as good as it gets. He goes through all the scenarios he can think of to assess how effective the game is at trying to do what it's trying to do. I think I would appreciate this channel more if I was actually more of a hardcore games guy, but I'm really not. But I know a lot of you are, so check this channel out. Our placed participant in this category is, of course, Matthew Matosis, with his only outing of the year, a video from all the way back in early January of 2021, Meta Micro Videos. This video is a riff on an older video of his called Mega Micro Videos, which was a video compilation of an assortment of smaller videos about a bunch of different games he combined into one larger video. This video instead is Meta Micro Videos, where the mini videos compiled are this time about meta, meaning they are analysis videos and analysis, looking at the different elements of the nature of making YouTube videos and how we critique. And it is splendid. No other video had this much new thought-provoking content for me to stew over this year. Particularly one of the middle micro videos about subtlety really forever changed how I look at subtlety in art. Him pointing out that subtlety, this thing we look at with such reverence for its depth and maturity, actually only works as a silly way to keep you engaged, not unlike a flashy action sequence, blew my mind and rid it of some of its leftover pretentiousness. This is another video where I dare not try to recap what's said in it, for this video is dense and I have proven to perhaps be the worst person at summaries in the world. His ideas are only matched by his quaint sense of writing, his videos may be long but they always feel concise. All of Matthew Matosis' required viewing of the highest quality, and this very much might be my favourite video he's ever made. And perhaps a fitting final video for the man. We talked briefly about BreadTube earlier with Broey D. Chanel, but here we are talking about it again. It's finally happening, chat. I think you know where this is going. You saw the thumbnail. An earlier draft of this section of the script started with, in a year where I think we all progressively grew more and more tired of the BreadTube trend. Now ultimately I decided against this opening as I think it is a little meaner and more hyperbolic than my intended meaning, but I have included it with a preface here because I think it resonates. BreadTube is at a crossroads right now, and I think we can all feel it. Will it in a few years be something the internet collectively looks back on in mocking disbelief as the political pendulum swings back the other way, pretending that they never fell for it, not unlike the skeptic community before them? Or will it survive and prove itself a mainstay in this space, worth its exploding popularity? Will BreadTube prove itself or will it fall to the wayside? We'll have to check back in a few years to see. That being said, the mainstays of the BreadTube space didn't exactly have the most electrifying years in 2021 in my opinion. I like Lindsay Ellis videos generally, and the transphobia one from earlier in the year was fun, but I couldn't make it through Mask Off, it was kind of boring, and then I didn't end up watching the rest of her uploads this year, and now she's retired, and I feel bad for not giving her her just due on this list, as assumingly she'll never again be featured in any future iterations. H-Bomber Guy only came out with one video all year, and it was about vaccines, and I'm sure it was probably good, but I couldn't muster up the enthusiasm to watch it. It was also very long, and I've probably heard it all before. Everybody get vaccinated. I skipped most of the Sarah Z videos this year, cause boy were they long. And when it came to nut cutting time in late December, as I was trying to catch up on all these channels to make this video, I quickly went, yeah, not watching all this, and crossed her name off the catch-up list. I did watch her Twilight video. It was fascinating as somebody who basically knows nothing about the series besides what one learns through all the internet backlash. So to hear about all these different aspects of the series was fascinating. I was also mind blown when I realized the boy I thought was Jacob, she kept calling Edward, and I'd had them wrong in my head for 15 years. The perks of malehood, I guess. Innuendo Studios only had 3 videos come out this year, one being a recommendation list, one being a video about Daria, which is something I know very little about. I did watch that video and thought it was fun though, and then one which was one of his talks he does that are always surprisingly great. His public speaking skills are quite remarkable, but that video doesn't quite qualify for the list now, does it? My point here being, more so than the videos in this space starting to get bad, they aren't really holding my interest anymore, and sometimes it feels like we're going over the same things over and over. And as somebody who's heard most of it before, it's not really the most engaging content. I think the prime example of this is the Mask Off Lindsay Ellis video. Twitter is indeed very bad, and that's a reductive way to talk about her video, and I'm sure there's a lot of nuance in it, but it just doesn't get the juices flowing, if you know what I mean. Now, I'm pretty sure in terms of viewership, all these channels are doing fine, if not improving, but in terms of substance and saying something new and interesting, I found most of this space kind of boring in 2021. This is all build up to me saying dramatically that ContraPoints is the standout exception, and that Envy is being placed on the list. What a fucking video. ContraPoints uploaded 2 videos this year, but I remember not really liking the JK Rowling one, feeling it was like those other videos I just criticized, being about a topic I didn't really care for, and going over points I'd heard a million times. Though I didn't rewatch the video for the list, so my memories of it are a little hazy. But I always knew that Envy was going to be the one of her videos I picked to feature on this list. I feared early in the year that ContraPoints might too be falling into this repetitive breadtube style, but thankfully Envy smashed through that perception, as Envy, I think, is peak ContraPoints. Envy excels in all the ContraPoints tropes. It's funny, it's engaging throughout its entire long runtime, it's thought-provoking, the costuming is out of this world, the set design is great. It's all here, and perhaps the best it's ever been. It's not really new or revolutionary for Natalie, but it is the best version of more of the same. I think what separates ContraPoints from the other breadtubers is her self-awareness, self-deprecation, and grounding in philosophy and research, which allows her to explain concepts from the ground up, rather than assuming generally accepted concepts, which I find a lot of breadtube videos fall into the trap of doing. She also does a great job at relating these concepts to real life, or a piece of common media that's ubiquitous, like she does with SpongeBob in this video. She somehow creates a not-so-self-serious, not-so-pretentious energy, even though her videos are far more abstract and artsy and over the top than other breadtubers. It gives her a level of groundedness that should be impossible given the presentation. It gives her a humanity and a relatability that isn't usually seen in this breadtube space. She is the combination of the entertainment factor and the intelligence factor, and she does it better than everybody else. Everything about ContraPoints I like, and Envy was no exception. Everyone's already watching ContraPoints, so I don't have to tell you to watch this space, so let's all collectively hold hands and wait for her 2022 output. Fuck all the big subscriber channels, the best video of the year is I watched all of Lupin the Third and regretted it by Caribou-Kun. This video opens with maybe the best AMV segment of the year by editing a bunch of sexy Lupin clips to War by Idols, a song I rather like. And it's fucking sick, but somehow that's only where the epicness and creativity begin with this beautiful fucking monstrosity. This video is the visualized version of the internal crisis of a toiling video essay production. It's my favorite nightmare of 2021. This video is actually about 5 video drafts, all seemingly being smashed together to create a video Shabes wanted to make about Lupin the Third, but was eternally struggling with. And the artistic way this is realized is profoundly engaging and created great art in the video essay genre. The way Shabes consistently cuts his sentences off when you know exactly where they are going with the same oddly satisfying sound effect each time is perfection. The way he cuts back 2 sentences later, and you pick up immediately where he left off, is perfection. The repetition he uses to get across multiple sort of fourth wall breaking ideas on how to structure this very video is perfection. He starts multiple back-to-back sentences with, "I want this video to be," or "I don't want this video to be." It's such a creative way to realize, in the video itself, the horrors and the trials and tribulations of video creation. And as somebody who, when this video came out, was struggling similarly with my core themes and changing context in Attack on Titan video, this video came out at the perfect time to be perfectly and wholly relatable to me. I think we'll stop with the perfects for the rest of this video. I knew the video already had a reputation in my chat and on Twitter for being a great video before I watched it, but then when I finally got around to watching it, I found myself so blown back by how relatable it was in a psychotic way to creators. I found myself wondering what the average viewer even thought was good about the video and how they could even possibly understand it. I guess the mania of the video is just captivating whether or not it's relatable to you individually. You have to see it to believe it. I don't think the point of the video is really the point here. I'm not going to try and recap it. It's honestly not really what makes the video so special. The deconstructing of the creation of a video like this, doubling as the video itself here, is what's so special. You have to see it to believe it. It's almost an experimental video essay. I don't know how something so manic perfectly makes so much sense. Thought I was done with that word. I could gush about this video for a long time, but I think it wouldn't do the video justice. The editing is superb, but that's what's to be expected from the man. The final script probably doesn't exist enough to be praised. The structure of the video, for being so seemingly unstructured, works tremendously. It's so good, chat. No number of thought-provoking ideas or quality writing could outpace this stallion of a clusterfuck of a video this year. I know this is a video and a creator maybe not everybody watching this video is familiar with, but Shabes is maybe consistently the best at this thing we do right now. And all eyes should be on him to make the video of the year in 2022 as well. Watch this space. This is not only the best video essay of 2021, but one of the best singular YouTube videos I've ever seen. You have to check this one out. It deserves to finally round out our list. If you are holding over for more Attack on Titan content, then boy do I have the offer for you. Head over to our second channel, that's Secondary ENT, to watch my week-to-week thoughts on Season 4 Part 2 episodes as they come out every week. Sometimes we are even joined by friends like Jarky Bacon, who I mentioned earlier in this video for some of his standout achievements in 2021, as well as Righteous7, a fellow Twitch streamer and Attack on Titan aficionado. Speaking of Twitch, not only are we talking about Attack on Titan over there once a week, the days the episodes come out, but also, as I mentioned briefly in the list, I sometimes react to the latest and greatest, or even worse sometimes, video essays and analysis videos as they come out. So head over there if you're interested in that. The final shill I want to do is for Patreon. My Patreon has been dead for about a year and a half now, haven't gotten a single new patron in that time. It's dire. Take pity on me, please. No, that's not my actual plea here. A big reason for this is that I stopped offering rewards basically at all, but now the rewards are coming back. You can see them on screen right now. So if you're into any of these options, head over there and check them out. Any support would be greatly appreciated. I'm broke, please. My next video will, I promise, be an Attack on Titan video, though probably not the one my core audience is anticipating. Support links in the description below. Thanks.